Well, to say notion of marriage is that they fall in love, a couple. They commit. I still think ideally for life. Ideally in the context that we're talking about, the context of marriage. But at some point, they do have children because they want to be creative. and it is more a choice these days than simply something that happens, isn't it? More so anyway. And then she becomes focused on the children. Now, you might be surprised to know that he can take this. He understands that children are terribly important to her. So he adjusts his care now in the context of them having children. I don't think he puts the children first. Not before her. I think he puts her first still. She, on the other hand, does put the children first. In the sense she has to. And he knows this. And he can accept this as part of his love for her. And not only that, but it's very necessary that he does. Because it enables her to be selfless towards the children. Because someone else is looking after her, namely a husband who loves her to bits. Is this fanciful? Well, this is my idea anyway. I'm well practiced in marriage. Unhappily, I'm well practiced in divorce as well. But there you go. But then perhaps, no, not so unhappily. No, you can see, not so unhappily. I'm flying. But that's beside the point at the minute. The point I'm getting to is, I think we have some notion of the ideal marriage. And it is ideal for children, us, physical adults in the world, but children in the kingdom of heaven, for goodness sake. We're very inexperienced and lacking understanding, aren't we? But there is a higher ideal, which romance and love and marriage and bringing up children is, well, part of our training ground. Very valuable part. But there's a higher goal, which is, in a sense, what we don't know. It's what God knows. We imagine that He, being all-powerful, all-knowing, all-loving, wonderful, perfect, has a greater understanding of the greater good than we do. And so, it's rational to say, it makes sense to say, we put that first. Of course, rational or making sense may not override the heart, and you long for a romance and a beloved and family and marriage and hope to goodness everything will be hunky-dory, good, super. And that's understandable because we're children. But it's not that rational. In the sense of there may well be an infinitely wonderful God that has an infinitely wonderful goal, and to miss such for all of us would be terrible. And yes, we don't know. What's the consequence of supposing that this is true? That it is so? That there is a wonderful God? What's the consequence of such here and now? Not just, if you like, pie in the sky, what might happen if there is heaven and we go there. But what's the consequence in the now? Well, the Jesus story is very explicit. It's that, we have treasure untold now, family and children, and in the life to come, life eternal. He does add, well, you will get persecution as well. And that is not enjoyable, to put it mildly. But if God be for us, who can stand against us, really? I mean, be reasonable. St. Paul got it right there, didn't he? Oh, I'm not to call him saint, am I? Paul the apostle, he got it right. Well, he says he was apostle. I don't think anyone else said that at the time until he declared himself such, but still. It's beside the point. He certainly had some penetrating enlightenment. Not as full, I think, as the Gospel of John, say, and John 17 in particular, but pretty good even so. Quite simply, Jesus says, I'm come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. And it's life eternal he's talking about in the kingdom of heaven. And he's talking about the spiritual. He's not talking about the physical body. I think Paul got it right. It's a spiritual body, magnificently wonderful, and in a sense, like God. Or if you like the story of Jesus. As a person, we pick up an impression of the persona of Jesus in the story, don't we? Even though we've not met him in the flesh. I think it's John that says, except you can claim that Jesus came in the flesh, that Jesus did come in the flesh, then you're not saved. You're not born again yet. I think he's wrong. We can't say it because there's uncertainty. I think there's massive uncertainty. Some people think there's almost none. And that's what the vocal statement is about. I think it's a very non-spiritual approach to recognizing conversion. I think we can look at a person, the way they're behaving, and more generally how they're living, and recognize whether they're of God or whether they're not enlightened yet. They're not following God. And we're not here to judge anyway, and this sort of judgment has been an appalling cause of unhappiness down the ages, hasn't it? And persecution and excommunication and you name it. Execution, torture. Oh, terrible. We won't go into that. For my view, for what it's worth, to those that hear, God values all that he made. I personally think he would value all that was not made too. I don't consider, when I'm helping some creature or person, so to speak, whether God made them or not. I see suffering and my heart goes out to them. And I want to put it right. And I'm not alone in this, am I? You probably feel the same. Bless you. And you're blessed. How much more will your Heavenly Father love and care for you and all life, all that is. This is my God. Love you, Heavenly Dad. Thank you, Dad.